What is AB 375 law? Well, if you get hacked, you can get paid. It's called the California Consumer Privacy Act. Starting in California, with other states following, in 2020, consumers can finally fight back in court and get paid legally for having their private data stolen by companies, and some companies who sell them to third parties. This is not the General Data Protection Regulation, which does not extend to household information as personal only. But this law does. This law extends to our household information as personal only, not for sale or for use otherwise. Now, the goal is for other states to soon follow suit and adapt this law. So let me break it down for you. The intention of this law, or this act rather, is to provide residents, currently California, with the right to know. The right to know what? Well, number one, the right to know what personal data is being collected on them. And number two, to know whether their personal data is being sold or disclosed and to whom. And number three, to know that you may say no to the sale of personal data. And number four, to know that there will be an internet that we will have access to our own personal data. And number five, to know that we are protected by law to get equal service and equal price, even when we exercise our privacy rights. Again, the goal is to get all states to adopt this law so everyone is protected. Now, the next part of this law is what businesses will have to pay if they steal your information, your private information. And it says that any and all businesses, any for-profit entity that collects consumers' personal data, which does businesses in California, and satisfies at least one of the following criteria. If a company makes $25 million per year, if a company possesses the personal information of 50,000 or more consumers' personal information, or if the company earns more than half its annual revenue from selling consumers' personal information. Now, the other part of this law is about responsibility and accountability, and there's 4 parts to that. Number 1, it deals with minors and consent, and number 2, the right to say no to the sale of our personal data, and there will be a website enabling us to opt out. Number 3 is to have all toll-free numbers and other ways of submitting our data access requests. And number 4, it's about updating privacy policies, and to make us wait 12 months to opt in after we've opted out of selling our data. Now, the good part, under the sanctions and remedies part, that's where it gets good. Let me break it down for you. Now, the sanctions and remedies section is about opting out rights. Also, if our data, our personal data is stolen, hacked by a company, that company can be ordered in a class action lawsuit to pay $100 to $750 per California resident, or the actual money damages. And finally, each intentional violation of theft of our personal data by a company will be fined up to $7,500 for each act. Okay? So, personal data then is defined. That's the next section. So how do we define personal data? Okay, this is very, very important to all of us, and we all need to know this. Okay. Personal data will be defined as the following: information that relates to or identifies with or could be linked to any household, real name, postal address, online identifier, email address, account name, social security number, phone number, passport number, state card, insurance policy, education, employment or unemployment history, bank or credit card number, any financial information, medical or health insurance information. This does not apply to public available information, but all that I read prior, just now, finally, we the consumer will have some recourse. Companies will have to pay us and get a big fine. And you know, they hate that. And all these companies that have stole our personal data now have to pay. So when the chance to vote on this law comes to your state, please consider voting yes, because this is protection for all of us consumers, finally. It's not a perfect law, but we can at least get paid when we get hacked. We do have some recourse now. Now, this law, AB 375, will be the strictest online privacy law in the whole country. And this law actually gives power to the consumer. Power to the people. It'll give power to the consumer who's been victimized by having our private data breached or stole or sold. That grinds me. That companies have been getting away with that, and we just have to say, oh well, that's the way it is. Well, now they'll have to pay. They'll have to pay a fine to the government, and they'll have to pay me. For companies like Google, Facebook, and similar companies, this bill will have far-reaching effects. So before I close, let's get specific for a second. There are some specific data items mentioned in this legislation, and this is what they are: biometric data, household purchase data, family information, geographical location, financial information, and sleep habits. And that last one I just don't quite understand, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. But the goal is for the other states to follow suit, jump on board. Then the United States will see a reduction, hopefully, of data theft by these rogue companies. That's right. So, I'm really excited to see this law come alive in 2020 in California. In the meantime, please share this video. It's very important for the consumer. Share the video, like, subscribe. When this comes up on the books in your state, consider voting yes. This is a Marologic channel.